I have a little confession. I got some work done. Good morning, bambinos. Today I wanted to talk to you about my experience with neuromodulators, specifically Daxxify. I was given a very unique opportunity recently to experiment with some Daxxify, so of course I had to jump on it, and I would just like to talk to you about my experience and what I went through, and also just explain what Daxxify is if you do not know. So Daxxify is a neuromodulator or a neurotoxin, and if you aren't familiar with what neurotoxins are, they are a type of injectable that you can get, say, at a doctor's office or a med spa, something like that, where it essentially paralyzes the muscle. So what it does is that it freezes the muscle and makes the muscle stop moving, so you can't move it anymore. And eventually, if you keep getting it routinely, it will atrophy the muscle, so it'll essentially make the muscle smaller over time. And so we see a lot of people get routine Botox to help things like frown lines, crow's feet, different things like that. And it's very different than something like filler, which would be adding volume to your face. Neurotoxins do not add any volume to your face. It's more about how the muscle moves and making the muscle stop moving in that way. Okay? The most popular neurotoxin by far would be something called Botox. And it's honestly, I believe it's the first. I'm not entirely sure, but I believe that it was the first. It's honestly the most popular, and you'll find that units, the unit of measurement of how much you would put in an area, is typically compared with or against Botox, rather. So if someone's like, oh, I have this many units, but I would need this many units for it to be equivalent to Botox, that's usually it. And that's because Botox was the first, been around for so long. I did want to go through some differences between something like Botox and what I got today as Daxxify. And so, like I said, a lot of people compare the two because, like I said, Botox was the first. However, Botox lasts about 3 to 4 months. So after those 3 to 4 months are up, once again, depending on your body, everybody's metabolism is different. You'll see the effects start to wear off. Botox also takes longer to kick in. They like to say that Botox you'll see kicking in about 2 weeks for the maximum effect. So that's the main difference with Botox. Now, on the other hand, literally, with Daxxify, they say will last up to 6 months. It's longer acting, and it's also quicker to kick in. So I was personally, my experience was I started seeing it within the first couple of days. I would say within 48 hours, I was starting to see the effects of it, as opposed to those kind of gradual 2 weeks. I felt like at the 1 week mark, I had already seen what the most it was going to do. Daxxify is also vegan. Botox, on the other hand, I don't believe is vegan because I believe it can utilize some of the animal proteins. However, what Daxxify is mostly known for is the fact that it has more peptides added to it. And so what are the peptides going to do? Those additional peptides are going to give you what people like to say is the Glow-Tox effect. So essentially makes your skin, all of the neurotoxins make your skin smoother. However, those additional peptides are going to give you a glow. I love the look of glass skin, so that was very appealing to me. So, of course, I had to hop on it. However, something to note of the difference between Botox and Daxxify is that Daxxify takes, on average, about 2 more units than Botox. So it's a 2-to-1 ratio. So say if you're used to getting Botox and you're like, oh, I get 30 units or I get 100 units, you're going to end up doubling that number. So an area that would typically take you 30 units, with Daxxify, you're typically going to have to use 60 units. 100 units, you're going to have to use 200 units. So depending on how that works for you, Daxxify could be a much more expensive experience for you, I will say. I will say as well is that also depends on where you're going. So some places, Botox and Daxxify are a bit more even in regards to the cost per units. Other places, so the place I went to, the Daxxify was a little bit cheaper than the Botox. So it wasn't like an even, oh, I'm paying double the price, you know, it was a little bit stacked, or not stacked, but a little bit less. So that's it. Now on to my experience with Daxxify. I had 100 units total, and I had them placed around all on my face. You can do neuromodulators in other areas, but all of mine were on my face, and I had them predominantly around my eyebrows because I had, you know, real strong, this muscle in here is really strong, around my eyebrows to treat my glabellas. Also did a slight brow lift with the neurotoxin, did a little crow's feet as well, and this is on both sides, although I was wanting a little bit more in this eye. I don't believe that she did put more in this eye, but I wanted a bit more because this eye is a little more closed than this eye, and that's something that I notice. Other people might not notice it, but I see myself every day. And then additionally with that, I did a tiny bit of a lip flip. And if you don't know what a lip flip is, it essentially is when you put a neuromodulator or neurotoxin in your upper lip and these muscles right here. And it's so that when you're smiling, your lip doesn't curl under. I wish I could show you, but I can no longer because it's I have the neurotoxin in. But essentially, so when I smile, my lips don't go any more than that. Like, I try to smile, can't do anything. Like, it literally just doesn't. I will say that was the most interesting part about this experience, because keep in mind, this was my personal first neurotoxin experience, was that I can't move anything. So I feel like, and sometimes I find myself overcompensating to try and move like other areas of my face because I can no longer, I was a very big person that would pout and scrunch my face right here, and so because I can't do that anymore, I find myself scrunching my nose a bit more to try and have that same effect. But no, it's good. I will say my first 24 hours, actually before I get to 24 hours, the injections themselves weren't super bad at all. I was given one of those cold, not ice, but it was like a cold kind of globe, and so tried to numb it through that. They don't do any external numbing typically for Botox unless you have another sort of issue. So I know that they'll provide numbing for sometimes filler. They'll also do distraction, but I just decided to go as fast as I could, for lack of a better word. And my injector was lovely. Even before before the injection, she handed me a mirror. She was very transparent. She was like, hey, tell me what your concerns are. She was not trying to pressure me at all, saying, oh, you need this here and here and here and here. She really kind of had that consultation with me and felt out what my concerns were, and also was extremely realistic about what Botox could treat versus something that would be filler versus something that would be something else entirely. And so I absolutely love her and thank her for that experience. So, like I had said previously, a lot of my concerns were kind of this sort of area, this muscle was getting very, very big. And also in my family, we kind of have forehead lines. And when I say that she was extremely transparent, she essentially told me that I have a tiny forehead, if you cannot see. And she was like, hey, if we put Botox, any type of neuromodulator higher than right here on you, then you're just going to feel like you're getting dragged down. And it's because I have a smaller forehead. Other people can have Botox up there just fine, but I can't, and that's just fine. Different people have different anatomies, you know? So with that, I also discussed, like I said previously, my eyes difference and whatnot. And so she listened to me. Fantastic. The actual injection part, I would not say it wasn't that bad. I will say, like, as we got lower down my face, I felt like it started to hurt more. So kind of in between my eyebrows wasn't that bad. Like, I thought that it was going to be a lot worse, simply because, you know, I tweeze my eyebrows occasionally, and so that, like, tweezing didn't, you know, like, right here is a really sore spot when you're tweezing. But no, it wasn't that bad. Like I said, I felt like as we got farther down in the face, that's when it became a little spicy. So I started feeling it probably more around the crow's feet, which in my mind makes sense to me because the eyes are a sensitive area, the skin is a bit thinner. However, I was completely unexpected for me, was that the lip was probably the part that hurt the most. And my injector was completely transparent, that around the lip, your eyes are probably going to start watering. Even if it doesn't hurt, your eyes will probably start watering. And that's just how the muscles and nerves and everything work in the area, right? Like, it's like when you get hit in your nose, and even if it didn't hurt, your eyes just automatically start watering. It's just something like that. Okay, I will say that I did notice a bit of swelling. The swelling wasn't too bad. I noticed it at first. I did bleed like a little bit. And the swelling went down as the weeks not weeks plural, but like as the days kind of went by. And it wasn't like super noticeable. Like, it wasn't something like, I think like maybe one person that sees me every day kind of noticed it, like, but everyone else didn't notice that I had any swelling or anything like that. The most, I don't even want to say difficult thing, but the most difficult thing was the fact that, similar to how I was talking earlier about forehead feeling heavy, my forehead didn't feel heavy at all because she didn't inject up here. However, it felt like almost like my lip was in the way, because all the times where I would curl my lip up, it suddenly couldn't do that. So it was just like, oh, your lip just moves a little differently. And so, like, everybody, I feel like, talks about the straws. For me, it wasn't the straws that was the biggest issue. It was more so, this sounds terrible, but keeping my lips closed. So, like, I noticed sometimes when I would drink something where I would usually just, like, close my lips, suddenly, like, I felt like a little bit of liquid would leak out, and I was like, oh, what is that? But like I said, everyone has different experiences. There are other people that are like, I can drink out of a straw, I can do this, I can do that. I luckily did not have that experience at all. So like I said, the swelling wasn't too bad at all. But then what I also immediately noticed, I would probably say starting the next day, like when I talk about how quickly Daxxify kicks in, I felt like I started feeling my face moving differently. Honestly, probably a couple hours later. But then the absolute main thing that people started commenting, or that I started noticing as well, was the glow that it gave me. Everybody was saying not only was my skin smooth, they were saying, some people were just saying I looked more refreshed. Some people were saying that, like, I had like the glass skin effect, that I was just glowing. And so that was probably the biggest part of the experience. And I still feel like I do have like this kind of like glow going on. So yeah, the Daxxify glow is so real. It is so real. And I do think that it could be worth it if that's something that you're looking for in some of those more like highlighty areas of your face. So I know what everybody is wanting to know: the price. I will say that the price will depend on where you're going, who's doing the injections, and then additionally, how many units you're getting. if you're talking about the price for what I had done specifically, the value of what I had done, I believe, was about $1,000. Because it's what, 100, I had 100 units. They go for like $9 to $10 per unit, so about $1,000. And like I said, that price will depend on where you're going. And so I don't think that it was that bad. Do I think that it was worth it? I think that whether or not Botox, any neuromodulator, Daxxify would be worth it is a very personal decision to each and every individual. Do I think that it was worth it for me? I think that, well, number one, I do see the effects. I do see the correction of some of the things that I was looking for. I am glad that I tried it out this time because I would like to test it on other areas of my body. Like I said earlier, my injector was very transparent, so I did think about kind of getting, like, you know, the jaw, whatever. She said that my muscles aren't that big. She literally was like, maybe you should try a mouth guard because your muscles aren't even that, like, overdeveloped, which, once again, I thanked her for, because she also said one of her concerns about injecting here for me would be possible jowls, which 100% I understand. However, I do also think that I'm the type of person where I have a lot of pain and a lot of migraines. I've noticed a difference in having migraines up here, like those tension sort of headaches, definitely a decrease in those. However, on the flip side, in the places that I typically do also have pain at, where I have like a migraine pain towards like the back of my neck, where it's like very muscular, and also in my traps, I feel like I'm noticing that pain more because there is an absence of pain happening here. And I think that that's such a fascinating experience that because of that, I will say that it was worth it for me and my experiences. There's no pain happening here. I had very little adverse effects. Like I said, there's nothing. I will say though, I am not hesitant. I don't know whether or not I'll go and do my lip again, simply because the lip movement is strange. Maybe after it all wears off, I'll say, you know what, I miss the way that my lips used to look. I do think that because of this experience, it made me think about my lips a bit more. So like whether or not I wanted to get filler in my lips, because I do enjoy the way that my lips look. I don't want to necessarily make them bigger, but I like the way that they look, like a bit more pouty. And so I think that a decision between possibly getting like not additional, I've never had filler before, getting filler versus getting another round of neurotoxin treatments for my lip is something different that I'll be considering in the future. So yes, I personally think that they are worth it. All right, bambinos, thank you for watching this video. If you would like for me to make any additional videos about the difference between Botox, Daxxify, Xeomin, or anything else, any informational or also any other experience videos, please let me know, and I'll see y'all next time.